When Daniel Reed was 8 years old, he found an old, scratched violin in his school's music cupboard. Most children wanted the shiny instruments, the new guitars, the polished keyboards. But Daniel was drawn to the violin no one chose. It had a small crack along its side and one string slightly discoloured. When he first dragged the bow across it, the sound was sharp and unpleasant. The other children laughed. "It sounds like a cat crying," one boy said. Daniel didn't laugh. He felt something stir in his chest. He didn't know how to explain it, but even through the screeching note, he could hear what it could become. That was the beginning of a dream far bigger than he understood. He wanted to become a concert violinist. Daniel was not a natural prodigy. He did not pick up techniques quickly. His fingers fumbled over strings. His timing lagged behind the rhythm. During school recitals, he played too softly, or too loudly, but rarely just right. His music teacher once sighed and said gently, "Daniel, passion is wonderful, but some people are simply born with exceptional talent." Daniel nodded politely, but that sentence followed him home like a shadow. Some people are born with it. Was he not? Still, he practiced. Every day after homework, every weekend morning, every school holiday. His fingertips grew sore and calloused, the screeching slowly softened, the notes slowly began to sound like music. But slowly is rarely celebrated. At 13, Daniel auditioned for the County Youth Orchestra. He prepared for 3 months. He memorized his piece. He played in front of the mirror, in front of his parents, even in front of his dog. On audition day, his hands trembled. Halfway through the piece, he missed a shift. The sound cracked in the silent hall. He tried to recover, but his bow began to shake. He finished weakly. The rejection letter arrived a week later. "We encourage you to continue developing your skills." That night, Daniel placed his violin back in its case and didn't open it for 2 weeks. For the first time, he wondered if loving something deeply could still mean letting it go. The comparison trap. Social media didn't help. Teenagers younger than him performed flawless concertos online. Videos titled 12-Year-Old Prodigy Stuns the World gained millions of views. Daniel watched them late at night. Their fingers moved effortlessly. Their posture was confident, their tone rich and full. He stared at his own reflection afterward. "I'm too late," he whispered. "I'm not gifted." The dream began to feel foolish. But one evening his grandmother, who rarely spoke about serious matters, said quietly, "Talent is loud when it's young, but endurance is louder when it lasts." Daniel didn't fully understand, but he picked up his violin again. From 16 to 20, Daniel experienced more rejection than applause. He auditioned for conservatoires. Rejected. He applied for scholarships. Rejected. He tried busking in the city to build confidence. Ignored. Once, during a street performance, a man tossed coins into his case and said, "Keep practicing, kid." Daniel was 20 at the time. Humiliation burned his face. Yet he returned the next day, and the next, because something inside him refused to let the sound die. At 22, Daniel was working part-time at a cafe to support himself while practicing late into the night. His friends were graduating with stable careers, buying cars, posting celebratory photos. Daniel was rehearsing scales in a rented room with peeling paint. One winter evening, after a particularly harsh conservatoire rejection, the 4th in a row, he placed his violin on the table and stared at it for a long time. He imagined life without it. A normal job, stability, less embarrassment. He even filled out an application for a full-time position at the cafe. But before submitting it, he played one final piece. Not for judges, not for auditions, just for himself. And for the first time, he realized something. His tone had changed. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't flashy. But it was deep. His struggles had carved something into his playing that ease never could. Emotion. Instead of chasing prestigious schools again, Daniel began uploading raw, unedited performances online. Not polished studio recordings, but honest music played in his small room. He spoke openly about rejection, about comparison, about doubt. At first, only a few people watched. Then a few hundred. Then thousands. Listeners wrote comments. "Your playing feels real. I can hear the emotion. Thank you for not pretending everything is perfect." Daniel wasn't the fastest violinist. He wasn't the youngest. But he was authentic. And authenticity travels. The invitation. One evening, he received an email from a respected orchestral conductor who had stumbled upon his videos. "I would like to invite you to audition. Not because you are flawless, but because your interpretation moved me." Daniel almost didn't believe it. At the audition, he felt the familiar tremble in his hands. But this time, he didn't fight it. He let the nerves breathe. He played. Not to impress, but to express. When he finished, there was silence. Then the conductor smiled. "Welcome. The reward." Years later, Daniel stood on a grand stage beneath golden lights. The audience waited in breathless anticipation. He remembered the scratched violin, the missed shift at 13, the coins thrown into his case, the application he almost submitted. As his bow touched the strings, the hall filled with music rich in depth and humanity. It wasn't just technically correct, it was lived. After the performance, the applause felt overwhelming. But the true reward was quieter. It was the knowledge that he had not abandoned the sound that once screeched painfully in a school cupboard. He had refined it, protected it, believed in it when no one else did. Daniel eventually mentored young musicians, especially those who believed they were not naturally talented. He would tell them, "Being untalented at the beginning is not a verdict. It's a starting point. What matters is whether you stay." His story became proof that greatness is not always born. Sometimes it is built. Unsuccessful attempts are not signs that a dream is wrong. They are invitations to deepen. Some people shine early and fade. Others struggle early and burn steadily for a lifetime. Daniel's story was not about instant brilliance. It was about refusal. And in the end, refusal turned into reward.